Good morning, class. Welcome to your favorite art class with Auntie Abigail. Today, we are talking about thinking and exploring ideas and the visual arts. And in today's lesson, we are looking at some famous Ghanaian visual artists. So let's look at our objective for today's class. So our first objective for today's class is for us to be able to identify some Ghanaian international visual artists and the titles of their works. Second, we are going to briefly talk about the famous Amon Kute and identify some of his artworks. Also, we just want to go through what we have already done in our previous academic year in the previous week. So when we're in class, we reviewed some visual artists in Africa. Briefly, we looked at Inen Alkori, we looked at Sherry Samba, we looked at Alade Adebanje, we looked at William Kendrick, okay? And we talked about their countries of origin and the techniques they used to produce their visual artworks. Now, today what we are going to look at is not too far from that, but today we are going to focus on Ghanaian visual artists instead of African visual artists. So if you remember last week's note I sent you, we looked at Ablade Glover and some of his artworks, his achievements, and the impact his artworks have had in his society. Okay, so today we are going to look at Amon Kute. But first of all, let me walk you through the keywords. So our first keyword for today is famous. Famous. Known about many people. Known about by many people. Known about by many people. So famous. Everybody knows you. That means you're famous. Everybody talks about you. That means you're famous. Famous can be positive or negative, but usually we look at it from the positive point of view. Our next word is influence. 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 The capacity to have an effect on the character development or behavior of someone or something. To have a positive influence or influence on somebody. So the capacity to have an effect on a character development, behavior of someone or something. That's influence. The next word is art. 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 It's the expression of human creative skills and imagination. It can represent ways in which people view their identity. Art. The next word is sculpture. Sculpture. The art of making 2 or 3-dimensional forms by carving, casting, and modeling. So we've seen a lot of artworks around us that have been made through this technique of sculpture. Okay, so we've seen statues, flower pots, flower vase, and a lot more. The busts, they've all been made through this beautiful technique called sculpture. Then the next word is surveyor, surveyor, surveyor. A person who examines the condition of land and buildings professionally. Next word is coat of arms. It's a shield with symbols and figures that represent a family, an organization, or country. And an example is Ghana's coat of arms. I believe most of you have come across Ghana's coat of arms in your textbook, or you've even seen it on television. So today we are going to throw more light on that beautiful coat of arms and the man behind Ghana's coat of arms. So let's go through some Ghanaian visual artists. As I told you before, we are taking them step by step. So we are looking at, first of all, Amon Kute. Amon Kute. Then we have El Anatri. El Anatri. We have Ibrahim Mahama. Then we have Dorothy A. Amenuke. Amenuke. Then we have Atu de la Quiz. Atu de la Quiz. Then we have Ablade Glover. Ablade Glover. Remember we've talked about Ablade Glover already. Then we have Betty Aqua. Betty Aqua. Also we have Ben Agbe. Ben Agbe. We have Owusu Ankuma. Owusu Ankuma. Then we have Rees Kudowo. Rees Kudowo. So we are going to stick to these names for now, and we will take them one by one. Okay, we take them. We look at them one by one. The things they've done, their impact, their achievements, and all that. We're looking at them one by one as time goes on. So first of all, today we have Amon Kote. Amon Kote. So I'll go through a little history about Amon Kote with you. Kote was born on 24th May 1915 at La, near Accra, and belonged to the Gan tribe and trained as a surveyor. He was a distinguished artist and designed the national coat of arms on 4th March 1957. He was a man of many talents. He was a sculptor, a teacher, painter, and musician. I believe Amankote was even more than that, because when you read more about him, he did a lot more. He even went to war. Okay, so Amankote is a great man of many, many talents. He attended Achimota Secondary School and progressed to the London School of Painting and Graphic Arts in 1949 to 1952. Let me tell you something small about this man called Amankote. When he was in Achimota School, he did so well. He was so exceptional to the extent that they gave him a scholarship to be able to further his studies outside. That's how come he was able to attend the London School of Painting and Graphic Arts. Okay, so we should be taking some cues from this man. He's a great man and he's taught us a lot so far. He drew maps and plans for use by soldiers on the war front. He also taught in Ashimota's school for a few years. So Amonkote, after he had come back, there was World War II. So he joined the Royal Army by then in the war. And as a soldier, his work was to draw maps for the soldiers to be able face their enemies. Okay, so he drew maps for them so that the soldiers will use so that the enemies will not attack them unawares. And that helped them a lot in the war, in the Second World War. After that, he decided to teach a little in his alma mater, which is Achimota Secondary School. In his alma mater, Achimota Secondary School. So he taught a little in Achimota Secondary School. Then after that, he focused on his arts. So he was appointed to design the coat of arms by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And the coat of arms was outdoor on the 4th of March, 1957. He was awarded the State of Honor of Grand Medal, Civil Division Coat of Arms design presented to him on Friday, 7th March 1997, okay, by Jerry John Rawlings, the then president of Ghana. Now, he received many awards. Amonkote received many awards. Unfortunately, he died in the year 2011. But his story does not end there because he has left us with a lot to be proud of. Like the coat of arms like this, Ghana's coat of arms is very special and stands out a lot. So let's look at the coat of arms. So this is a picture of the coat of arms. I'm sure you may have seen it on television or moving around town, or even on your exercise books. Then the second is African Madonna, one of his most beautiful paintings. Then we have a picture of his landscape painting. Then we have mother and child, the typical African mother and child. This is how your mother's breastfeed you when you were a baby. Okay, so now let's look at what we can take home from this lesson today. In today's lesson, we learned about some Ghanaian visual artists. So we've learned about Amon Kote into details. We've talked about Ablo de Glover a little. We've spoken about El Anatri. We've talked about Owusu Ankuma. We've talked about Ibrahim Mahama and many others. Okay. Now, we've also looked at Amonkote, his artwork, and how his artwork has left an impact on Ghana's history and culture and arts. You cannot go anywhere and say that he didn't create a coat of arms. It's impossible. So his name will live forever in Ghana's history. We identify some of his artworks. Now, what I want you to do for me today after this lesson is read briefly about two other Ghanaian visual artists. Then you write short notes about them and some of their artworks, titles of their artworks. Okay, that is what I want you to do for me. And we will talk about these individual artists that you have picked in our next Zoom lesson, which will be next week. So I pray that all of us will take out the time to do this work. Okay. Thank you very much for your cooperation. See you next week and have a wonderful week. Bye bye.